All right, here in America, we love convenience, and we also love breakfast, unfortunately. What's the definition of hot, filling, convenient breakfast? Well, oatmeal. Sure, it may be delicious, easy to make, and you might even think it's good for you. I get it. We've been taught to think this. But unfortunately, that could not be further from the truth. In fact, oatmeal is one of the worst foods that you can put in your body. Oats used to make oatmeal are loaded with lectins, which can poke holes in your gut lining and cause serious health issues down the line. My oldest daughter is an elite horsewoman, and she assures me that the only purpose of oats is to make horses fat for the winter. And I couldn't agree with her more. Back when we needed to get fat for the winter, oats were fairly useful. And oats absolutely makes you get fat for the winter. And if that's not enough to stop you, I've got plenty more reasons. Interestingly enough, the ancient Egyptians actually ate a lot of oats. But analysis of thousands of Egyptian mummified remains has revealed that the health status of those oat eaters wasn't very good. They often died overweight with clogged arteries. Their teeth were decayed from a diet high in grains, which are full of simple sugar, and were worn down to the gums by grinding these grains with their teeth. In fact, other mummies have suggested that some of the Egyptian queens died with diabetes. Now, there's a study that I've alluded to in my earlier books of children in orphanages in England at the turn of the century who were fed oats as their daily food. These children had dramatic dental caries, and of course, in those days, there was no option for dental work. But an interesting study, half of these children, their oats were taken away, and they were given fish oil in the form of cod liver oil, and their gruel was changed to other grains that we'll talk about in a minute. Those children actually reversed their dental caries. So every time you put that bowl of oatmeal in front of your kids, think about that the next time you're going to the dentist. Now, are there options for people who just have to have that healthy, warm bowl of breakfast cereal? Yeah, both millet and sorghum are hull-less and have no lectins. And there's even a type of millet called fornio, which, if you cook it, tastes almost identical to cream of wheat. So you'll get that breakfast mouthfeel that you're looking for without the harmful lectins. Now, it gets worse than that. Even gluten-free oats have proteins that cross-react with gluten. And so many of my patients, unfortunately, have been eating gluten-free, but they've been eating gluten-free oats. And when we take those gluten-free oats away from them, along with other lectin-containing foods, their leaky gut and their autoimmune issues resolve. Now just remember, gluten-free does not mean lectin-free. Give you another example. 70% of my patients who are sensitive to gluten react to oats and corn as if they were gluten, even though they say gluten-free. The other thing to realize is so many of our oat products are pre-digested to make you be able to cook them in 30 seconds in hot water. And when we pre-digest these oats, they basically are a bowl of sugar, and that's the last thing you want. Now, you might be listening to this right now, and you've already decided that you still want your oatmeal. I get it. Something that we thought was healthy for so long can be hard to give up. But there's one more huge issue with oats and oatmeal. Our oats are sprayed with chemicals, and I'm not sure you actually want to eat chemicals. Consumer Reports, the Environmental Working Group, have analyzed oats in our breakfast food, oats in our granola, oats in our oat bars, and have found very high disturbing levels of glyphosate in almost all oats in the United States. That's Roundup. Now, why don't we want Roundup? Turns out Roundup is a recognized carcinogen by both the World Health Organization and other environmental agencies. Why you would purposely want to eat a carcinogen for breakfast is hard to believe. Secondly, there is another chemical that I talk about in my upcoming book that is banned as an agricultural herbicide in the United States, but is still used on oats in the United States, even though it's banned, to make oat stalks not grow as high as normal. Now, why would you want to do that? It turns out that oat stalks get very spindly, and wind can actually blow over that oat stalk, and that ruins the crop. So cleverly, you can spray oats with this herbicide and make them not grow as high. Sounds brilliant from an economic standpoint. The problem is this chemical is also a known carcinogen. Now, it was banned by the EPA as not allowed to be used. But during the recent previous presidential administration, the EPA was told to loosen that allowance. And new studies by the Environmental Working Group has shown that all of our oats in the United States have up to 400 times the allowable allowance of this herbicide, including some of our favorite old-fashioned oatmeal. So if you want chemicals in your breakfast, cancer-causing chemicals in your breakfast, then please have a healthy bowl of oatmeal. But wait, there's more. Not only does glyphosate cause cancer, but glyphosate is now a known disruptor of gut wall integrity. And glyphosate also kills off the serotonin producing bacteria in your gut. So if you want to get depressed, if you want to get anxious, if you want to expose yourself to cancer-causing chemicals, all for the sake of having your healthy bowl of oatmeal, quite frankly, there's nothing I can do probably to stop you, except please try a healthy alternative like millet or sorghum, or the tiny millet Fornio. Let me just reiterate. There was a 23-year-long study done in California tracking glyphosate levels in our bodies. The amount of glyphosate with each year has been dramatically increasing in our bodies. It affects our energy levels. It causes leaky gut. It strips the micronutrients from the food you eat. And if that isn't bad enough, it actually suppresses an enzyme you need to have adequate vitamin D levels in your body. So, millet, Fornio, sorghum. If you want to add a sweetener to these foods, please use allulose. Allulose is a natural sugar that was first discovered in figs. It's now being produced. Get it from non-GMO allulose sources. If you want to increase the fun in your breakfast, add some cocoa nibs. Chop out some healthy nuts like walnuts or macadamias or pistachios. Put it in Fornio, put it in sorghum, put it in millet. And please, 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 take your oatmeal away from you and your kids. You'll be doing everybody a favor, and we'll stop poisoning ourselves in one simple step. If you found this video helpful, I think you're going to love this one. A bagel looks like it has no sugar on the label. But in fact, the bagel has the equivalent of 11 teaspoons of sugar, and it's hidden there in plain sight on the label.